Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, why is the Kentucky Oaks associated with the color pink? We have more from one person who explains why the Kentucky Oaks event means more than just a horse race. And the pressure mounts for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas after reports of more undisclosed payments.
Plus, temperatures continue to warm for the weekend and also into next week. All those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Olivia Calfee. Each year, something very special takes place here at Church Hills Downs before the running of the Kentucky Oaks. This year will be the 15th Oaks Survivors Parade for breast and ovarian cancer survivors. This year, 149 survivors were chosen into a lottery to participate, and among them is a Lexington woman still in her own fight with breast cancer. For Amy Kern, she is experiencing Oaks Day in grand style for the first time and using today to celebrate life after cancer took her on a lengthy journey for the last 2 years. Amber Philpott has more from Louisville.
This is my cottage. It's also called the Wild Hare, or my she shed.
In the last year, the she shed Amy Kern created for herself has become a place of escape.
This space, it has been a space with peace and healing and just reflective time.
It's a place that allows her to use art as a way to convey what is on her heart when she doesn't always have the words for her current situation.
Every time that I would have to go to the hospital, this stuff would go, this particular bag in my hands would go with me.
In September of 2021, Kern, a wife and mother, heard the words, "You have cancer."
I can't believe that I would get diagnosed with breast cancer because it doesn't run in our family.
Her cancer was stage 3. She chose a radical mastectomy and leaned on her family and faith for her support. In Kern's family, it's a heart condition that has stolen life and even threatened hers.
I'm the oldest of 3, and my biological siblings passed away, so I have always felt like I was given an extra chance at life.
Kern set out to live, tackling 16 chemo treatments, 25 radiation treatments, and a dozen surgeries.
There's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to cancer.
Her place of escape gave her time to reflect and often provided inspiration. The walls full of pictures of a family who loves adventure.
I've never been to Derby weekend.
Kern's next adventure was chosen for when she was selected to take part in this year's annual Kentucky Oaks Survivors Parade.
And I am looking forward to it because I know that there are several people who are getting to walk in memory of someone who was chosen but isn't getting to have that opportunity.
She is a survivor who has fought cancer, and it's within these walls she's found the strength to do it.
You have to look at pre-cancer Amy and post-cancer Amy.
But it's the living outside these walls and the adventure that awaits her that gives her the most inspiration.
After I've grieved pre-cancer Amy, I'm really excited for post-cancer Amy.
Church Hill Downs asked guests to incorporate pink into their attire to bring attention to the fight against breast and ovarian cancer. This will be the 15th year for the Survivors Parade. This year, 149 breast and ovarian cancer survivors will march along the racetrack before the running of the Oaks. They have raised more than $1 million for women's health since that event started.
Well, the weather remains dry across the mountains as we close out your work week. Here's a live look right now from Pinpoint Doppler. And as you can see, a clean sweep continues across the mountains right now. But that could change as we go into tonight because notice we do have this boundary over our southern counties. So we could possibly see a few showers mainly over our border counties, places like Campbell and Claiborne County, Tennessee, as a few showers could follow this boundary over our southern and border counties. Right now, though, here's a live look overlooking portions of Hazard from Perry County County. As you can see, plenty of sunshine and blue sky back in the distance. That current temperature 77 degrees, and most of us in the middle to upper 70s. 77 for Manchester and Harlan, 75 over in London, and 75 also in Jackson and Prestonsburg. If you have any plans to fire up the grill this evening, we stay dry under plenty of sunshine. Temperatures falling into the lower 70s by 7, falling into the upper 60s later on tonight. We wake up in the 50s though as you wake up tomorrow morning. We are watching out for some showers and maybe a few storms on your Sunday. That full first alert forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Olivia?
Cameron, thank you. The U.S. government is adjusting the way it tracks COVID-19. The nation's coronavirus public health emergency ends next week on May 11th. That's when, for the first time in 3 years, the agency will stop posting a national count of COVID-19 cases. The color-coded maps of country-level transmission and disease burden will also go away. Other changes include the CDC no longer tracking variants down to the state level. Instead, the agency plans to track the burden and spread of disease primarily through hospitalizations and deaths. Pressure is growing on Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas over a new report in ProPublica. It reveals that same conservative activist who paid for vacations and bought his mother's home also paid his grandnephew's private school tuition. Jan Crawford is at the Supreme Court.
The report says Harlan Crow paid tuition at boarding schools in Georgia and Virginia for the then teenage grandnephew of Justice Clarence Thomas. Democrats say Thomas should have disclosed those payments, which went directly to the schools and in Georgia ran more than $6,000 a month as a gift.
Any other judge in America looking at that set of circumstances would realize that that breaks the rules. And the court has to address this problem.
Republicans claim it's a political effort to undermine Thomas.
This is part of a 32-year smear campaign that started with his confirmation hearing.
Thomas's defenders say look at the rules, which require disclosure of gifts to a son, daughter, stepson, or stepdaughter, not extended family members, even though Thomas had legal custody of the grandnephew. In a statement, Crow said it's disappointing that those with partisan political interests would try to turn helping at-risk youth with tuition assistance into something nefarious or political.
How low can the court go?
The report comes in the wake of a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing this week that focused in part on earlier reports from ProPublica that Crow paid for luxury vacations for the Thomas family and bought property from the family where Thomas's mother still lives. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski has introduced legislation with independent Senator Angus King for the court to adopt a formal code of conduct.
You create your code of conduct. You publicize it, you share it, you post it, but you create it.
Now, the court has a more informal code of conduct, and the justices say they also follow rules that the lower court judges follow. But senators say they want something more formal with teeth, a way of enforcing complaints against the justices. We reached out to Justice Thomas, and he had no response. Jan Crawford, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Last month, ethics experts signed a complaint to Chief Justice John G. Roberts Jr. and to the Justice Department over Justice Thomas's failure to disclose lavish travel and vacations with Mr. Crow. Justice Thomas is not the only member of the Supreme Court under fire. 2 other Supreme Court justices reportedly did not rescue themselves from cases involving a publishing company that has paid them in lucrative book deals. 2 separate copyright infringement cases concerned the publishing conglomerate Penguin Random House. The court declined to take appeals in the cases in 3 instances, beginning in 2013. Liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor did not rescue herself in both cases. She's been paid millions of dollars from the publisher over the years. Conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch, who joined the court after the first case, also did not recuse himself in the second case. He received hundreds of thousands of dollars in book deals with the publisher.